Hello everybody. Thank you for joining us today to attend the webcast powered by Yole Development and dedicated to e-mobility, the new Eldorado for lithium-ion batteries. My name is David Jordan and I am Global Sales Support and Coordinator at Yole Development. So before we get started with the webcast, I would like to give you a few practical information. First, you have the possibility during all the webcasts to submit questions. To do so, you simply have to use the box at the bottom of the screen with the label Ask a Question. We will answer as many questions as time permits, and for the remaining questions, we'll follow up with you by email later on. Second, concerning the materials and contents of this webcast, please note that the presentation is available and downloadable in the resources section. Furthermore, within 24 hours, you will receive an email with a link to the recording session of this webcast. So today, Yole Development and Nomade will share their analysis on e-mobility, the new Eldorado for lithium-ion batteries. First, we'll start with a market overview from Milan Rosina, who is Senior Analyst for Energy Conversion and Emerging Materials at Yole Development. So Milan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, David. So welcome to everybody, and thank you in advance for spending the time in participating in this meeting. I hope it will be full of valuable and interesting information for you. So we are two speakers today. I will present the first part related mainly to the market and some trends in technology development, and then Flore Tizandier will continue with some IP analysis. The presentation are extracted from the following reports of Yole Development and Nomade, our sister company of Yole Group. So you could find more information, more details about the topics that will be presented today in those reports. So until now, we will start with the first presentation. If you look on the main market segment for lithium-ion batteries, we will find three principal segments. One is the consumer electronics, which is the conventional market for lithium-ion batteries. This is the market where the lithium-ion battery started with Sony lithium-ion batteries. Then e-mobility applications. I would like to point out that it's not only about EVHEV, so electric and hybrid electric vehicles, but also e-mobility applications in general. So it could go to electric buses, electric trucks, electric scooters, electric bikes, and so on. So different applications where the battery is incorporated in a system that is moving somehow. And then stationary battery storage. Stationary battery storage typically used in small residential systems for backup or on remote houses, or it could be used in UPS applications, in connections to wind and photovoltaic power plants, and so on. Also for some great applications, so really large-scale container size systems. So to our understanding, according to our analysis, the electric vehicles and hybrid electric vehicles are already driving and will strongly drive the lithium-ion battery demand in the future. So we would like to present you some arguments why it is so. So first of all, there are many drivers. There are different drivers for the development of electrified vehicles. First of all, is the stronger CO2 regulations. So the car makers are forced to introduce electrified vehicles into their product portfolio. And as you see in the chart here on this slide, these conditions will be stronger and stronger with time. So it is absolutely necessary to develop more and more products and more electrified products in the future. Then, of course, there are very sustainable arguments like clean environment and especially clean air This is something what everybody could see, everybody could breathe. So it's essential. If you live in city areas, you will clearly understand how important it is to go to electric vehicles. I was recently in Paris and previously in China and some Asian countries, and you could clearly see that you can't clearly see in some cities. So it's very important to improve the air or to reduce the air pollution. And of course, there are the subsidies. That is very important, especially in Europe. And but the subsidies are driving the e-mobility market also in Asia, especially in China. And high fuel cost. This is something which depends on a region, and it's evolving also in time. But it could be also an important argument. Actually, we speak about the e-mobility or electric and hybrid electric vehicles. We see that there are different levels of electrifications. It goes from the thermal vehicles or ICE vehicles with zero electrification up to full electric vehicles, battery electric vehicles, like from Nissan Leaf or Tesla. And in between, you have a different type of categories of hybrid electric vehicles. Now I would like to motivate you a little bit more for lithium-ion batteries and the applications which are behind. This graph shows clearly the results of our recent analysis about the market for lithium-ion batteries and what will be the future demand. You will see that the demand is already very important and will strongly grow in the future years. So the CAGR for the next years will be 28%. This is pretty high. There are two important points to see or to take away from this graph. The first one, if you look on the split, electric mobility, consumer electronics, and then stationary batteries and the others, for 2016, we clearly see that the demand for e-mobility has taken over about the consumer electronics, which was the conventional market. This means there is a kind of game changer. Electric mobility will become become already the segment which will dictate or which will force the technology development, the technology evolution. And this dominance of e-mobility will be stronger and stronger in the following years. So it's very important to understand what are the demand for electric mobility, and then you could see how likely will the majority of the lithium-ion battery technologies evolve, because this technology had to satisfy the demand for e-mobility. If you look on the development of e-mobility, it is actually strongly connected also with other applications. I try to illustrate a little bit on this slide. So we go from the left upper corner, we see that there is more and more electrified vehicles. What does it mean? That means that there is a stronger demand for the batteries, stronger demand that means many opportunities for other players. And the players would like to be more competitive than their competitors, so they will develop better and better batteries. So at the right side, right upper corner, you see that there will be strong push for the technology development. And once we will get the batteries that are cheaper, or better performing, safer, and so on, the results of the development will also the other application will benefit from these results. So also the stationary battery applications, electric buses, power tools, and so on, will benefit from the development of battery technologies for electric vehicles. At the same time, electric vehicles contain a battery, and this battery has to be charged before to be used. So with growing fleet of battery vehicles, we will get also growing electricity demand. And in the best way, we would like to satisfy this demand by clean sources like photovoltaic or wind. But both wind and photovoltaics are intermittent energy sources. It means that it's difficult to forecast them, and there are a period of time where not enough power is available or too much power is available from these sources. So we need a kind of regulation. And battery is a kind of very nice element how to regulate the voltage and the frequency in the grid, and using stationary battery sources, stationary batteries like container-sized batteries. And of course, then if we consider the limited lifetime of electric vehicle, and the end of the lifetime of the vehicle, the battery could be still working. The performance will be lower, but it will be still working. So if we could imagine a kind of second battery life, which the battery will be removed from the vehicle and could be used as a stationary battery in stationary energy storage applications. So this will further improve the deployment of stationary battery systems. I would like to point out also here that EVHEV is a kind of unique combinations of strong demand for innovation, large battery size for vehicles. This is a very big difference compared to a smartphone or some other consumer products, where the battery size it's very small compared to electric vehicles, when the battery size could be up to 100 kilowatt hours, which is just it's a very big battery already, and high manufacturing volumes, so in units, and the growing demand. So this means that there is a lot of opportunities, business opportunities here, and all innovations could be relatively rapidly implemented in commercial production and in commercial products. So this is very important in order to understand how fast this market could evolve. Now let's go a little bit more into the technology details. So if you look on the battery pack on the right side of this slide, this is something what is used in an electric vehicle. But to build the battery pack, we have to start from a battery cells. This is kind of basic unit. So if we go from the battery cells to battery module and battery pack, actually we will just reduce the performance of the battery in terms of energy density and the power density. So it means that it's very crucial to start with something which is already very well performing, which has very high energy density and very high power density if needed for a specific application. If you look on the different battery cells that exist on the market, there are today three main types: cylindrical, prismatic, and pouch battery. Pouch mainly used in automotive industry. And there is some evolution, but not big ones. Actually, all three formats will remain, and there will be just some adaptations in order to reduce the manufacturing cost and better fit to design of battery modules. But now we have to look more inside the battery. If you look on the composition of the battery cell, we could see actually that we have the electric foils, the current collectors, aluminum and copper foil. Then we have the anode and cathode materials, and electrolyte and separator. So it's pretty complex. But what makes a big difference is the cathode, as we will show in the following slides. Here you see the different types of the battery cells. Excepting LTO, which is the anode material, we have the 5 different cathode material here: LCO, NMC, NCA, LMO, and LFP. Different materials exist. Different materials are used for cells for different applications with more or less success. And you see that they have different performances. But what we would like to have, it's the focus on high energy density and high power density. And for most applications, but what is the most important criteria for many applications is actually the small battery and lightweight battery. So it means that we have to move to the right upper corner of this graph. And we see that NMC it's one of the batteries that could pretty well fill the requirements. And also the NMC could cover a relatively large scope of the different properties. Of course, more performing batteries very often is related to higher cost. So if we the lower performance is acceptable, we could get the battery which is more situated in the middle of this graph, but which has better cost actually, economy of cost. Now, if you look on the positioning of different battery cells regarding the use in different applications, we see clearly that NMC is a kind of universal technology that is used in most applications. You could see that also LFP, lithium iron phosphate, it's a kind of universal technology. But this battery cell, it's less expensive, but it's also less performing in the terms of energy density. So we consider that NMC could have a better potential in the future. So I would like to illustrate a little bit the different trends on this slide. I will not go deeply into details. You could go through. These are just some arguments that are provided related to different battery technologies and how they will evolve in the future. What is important to mention here that LFP, due to the lower energy density, could progressively will not satisfying for automotive applications and will not match the future requirements or future targets for some subsidies, and therefore will be out of the market at least for some segments, and NMC could take over of these LFP technologies in some applications. And this could be also illustrated on the bottom of this image of this slide with the trends in supply chain evolution. You see that some players are moving more and more to NMC cathode materials or using of NMC cells, and if they are not already providing commercial products, they have at least internal development for this technology. Similar picture could be found also if you look on the comparison on the chart, where are the different battery formats and the battery technologies and the different players that are involved in the manufacturing of these batteries. So you see that there are the big focus on consumer electronics. This is the LCO technology. But if you look on the automotive industry, LFP and NMC are very well represented, but there is a kind of move to NMC, which seems to be really represented by most players, and also the largest portfolio regarding the different type of cells. So I would like to conclude my talk. Lithium-ion battery, it's already a very nice market, representing a nice volume already today, and going up to $60 billion in few years. So this provides many opportunities for both existing players and also new players. The electric mobility has already taken over the demand for consumer electronics, and therefore we consider that we will drive to dominate the market, and also will drive the development of the technology. So lithium-ion is not a single technology. There are several or many technologies that could satisfy different applications. This is very important to mention, because some applications need high current, some need a high life cycle, some low cost, some high energy density, but different lithium-ion technologies could satisfy these different needs. So we see the clear refocus from consumer applications to e-mobility, and it needs different characteristics of the battery. So therefore, there will be a kind of development of new materials and strong focus on the energy density and higher number of cycles, charging, discharging cycles. According to our analysis, the largest cathode material segment today is NMC cell with NMC cathode material, which better match the needs of the huge EVHEV market compared to other technologies which are also involved in this market. So we consider that many players will in the future focus on this material. So On this slide, you will find my contact details. If you would like to contact me, do not hesitate to drop me an email for further information. And at Yole Development, as I'm working in, we are working on different battery technology areas, mainly focused on lithium-ion or beyond lithium-ion technologies like solid-state batteries and other specific lithium metal batteries and so on. And we are covering the whole supply chain from materials up to different applications, recycling, second life battery. And you will find some information in our battery report. If you would like to dig a little bit more into details on specific segments, we could also discuss about a kind of custom study. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Milan, for this interesting presentation. Now we will have Fleur Tissandier, who works for NUMAID in the field of microelectronics and chemistry. She will provide you.
Maybe will we answer the question now, or we have some questions?
Oh, yeah. Okay. We'll ask the question at the end of the webcast. So Fleur is working in the field of microelectronics and chemistry, and she will provide us a patent overview of the lithium-ion battery industry. Fleur, it's your turn.
Thank you for the introduction. Hello, everybody. You may already know many things about NMC materials and NMC lithium-ion batteries. Today, I will focus on the analysis of patents related to the global supply chain of NMC lithium-ion batteries. The results are extracted from our report published in July. Before to start, just one page to introduce NUMAID and our activities. NUMAID is a consulting company specialized in the analysis of patents and scientific information. We help companies to understand their competitive environment, follow technology trends, assess the risk, and identify the opportunities in terms of technology and patents. We analyze strategic information to help and identify the opportunities to help our customers to strategize their IP and R&D. For example, we do prior art search, patent landscape, freedom to operate analysis, and technology scouting. We mainly operate in battery and energy management, semiconductors, MEMS, sensors, and medical-related technologies. Before to go in details, back to the basis. What is a patent and which information can we find in it? A patent is a document which protects a technical invention, which solves a technical issue. A patent is granted if the invention is new, invented, and can have an industrial application. A granted patent gives an exclusive right to operate in a specific country for at most 20 years. Thanks to the payment of annual fees and a legal diffusion 18 months after the filing. Which information can we find in the patent? We can find who filed the patent, what are the topics of the patent when it has been filed on the main page. Then there are the claims, which defines the scope of the invention for the legal protection. And in the description, we have details about the invention and the way to make it. The objective of patent landscape is to understand the global competitive environment from technology and a patent perspective. The objectives are to understand main companies' IP strategies, understand current and future technological trends and choices, compare market and IP trends, and identify and understand main patent litigation related to this topic. As Milan said, NMC is one of the most attractive cathode materials for lithium-ion batteries today. More and more battery manufacturers are using it, and thus more and more battery material manufacturers are producing it. NMC materials cover a wide range of volumetric and specific energy densities thanks to its versatile composition. Thus, it can be used in batteries for a wide range of applications, ranging from electronic to transport. You probably know the main market player producing and using NMC. Analyze the patent information is a complementary approach to fully understand the competitive landscape. We have analyzed the global patent landscape for NMC lithium-ion batteries, meaning NMC precursor manufacturing, NMC material manufacturing, NMC electrode manufacturing, and the use of NMC material in batteries. We did not consider the patents related to lithium-sulfur or lithium-air batteries, or patents related to systems integrated NMC batteries, patents related to NMC for other applications than lithium batteries. The patent analysis was done in March 2017. We have selected more than 3,000 patent families. A patent family is a set of patents filed in multiple countries to protect a single invention by a common inventor. A first application is made in one country, the priority country, and is then extended to other countries. For this analysis, we will answer to this question: who filed the patents? When patents have been filed? Where? What are they about? And who has the best IP position? Who filed the patents? As we can see on this graph, LGChem and Samsung SDI are leading the patenting activity for NMC lithium-ion batteries. There are several kinds of companies in NMC patent landscape. Material manufacturers in blue, such as Sumitomo, Mitsubishi, BASF, or Umicore. Battery manufacturers in red, LGChem, Samsung SDI, GS USA. Companies being both integrators and battery manufacturers in orange, Sanyo, Panasonic, BYD, and pure integrators, Nissan, Samsung Electronics. There are only few R&D labs among the main patent assignees. We can note the presence of University of Chicago, Korean Institute Getty, and several Chinese universities. When patents have been filed. First patents on NMC lithium-ion batteries were filed by Japanese and Korean battery manufacturers in the late 19th, Sony, Samsung, LGChem. A first wave of patent publication occurred in 2000s, induced by the emergence of material manufacturers such as AGC, Mitsubishi Chemicals, Sumitomo Metal Mining, 3M, BASF, Umicore, and so on, and Chinese battery manufacturers, like BYD, and Chinese universities. Since 2010, patent publications have strongly increased thanks to a high patenting activity of Japanese, Chinese, and Korean battery and material manufacturers, and the emergence of electric vehicle constructors, such as Nissan, Toyota, BMW, and Chery. The development of electrical vehicles leads to high R&D efforts and patenting activity from material, battery, and car manufacturers. Since 2015, NMC lithium-ion batteries overwhelmed the lithium battery market for a wide range of applications, attracting new battery manufacturers less involved in first R&D developments. The second wave of patent filings, combined to an increase of patent extension worldwide, is an indication of the technology maturity and market ramping up. Where are filed and granted the patents? Two quick definitions. A pending patent is a patent application under examination by the patent office of the country where the patent has been filed. A granted patent is a patent in force in one country. The patent assignee holds an exclusive right to exclude the others to make use its patented invention. Currently, more than 4,000 patents are granted worldwide in green, mainly in Japan, USA, and China, and more than 3,000 patent applications are pending in blue, mainly in USA and China. Most of granted patents are owned by Japanese and Korean companies worldwide. Europe and Taiwan seem not to be interested for NMC lithium-ion batteries except for domestic companies. In fact, only few companies are originated from Europe and few companies in Taiwan. India seems to be a growing interest for some IP players such as LG Chem and Umicore. We detail the IP strategy of these companies in our report. On which supply chain segments are filled the patents? We have classified the patents by the supply chain segments and the type of NMC materials. The number represents the number of patent family in the corresponding segment. Patent family are mainly related to material manufacturing and use in batteries. Granted and pending patents are mainly related to materials and their use in batteries. Patents on cathode materials are not only filed by material manufacturers, battery manufacturers also file patents on that topic, such as GS USA, BYD, and Toyota. In fact, many battery companies have R&D departments dedicated to the development of new materials, and it is worth to note that LG Chem commercializes NMC materials and that Samsung SDI used to commercialize battery materials. For each supply chain segments have been analyzed. For this presentation, I will focus on the evaluation of company portfolio strengths regarding material manufacturing. Several criteria are evaluated. The patent portfolio size, the number of patent family is a quantitative point of view of the patenting activity, but a large patent portfolio doesn't mean a strong patent portfolio. On NMC material manufacturing, Samsung SDI, LG Chem, and Sumitomo have the largest patent portfolio. Then we also evaluate the IP leadership. It means the number of granted and pending patents worldwide. A high number of granted patents and pending patent applications indicates a strong and current interest for the topic. The more the patent applicants combine a high number of granted patents with a high number of pending patent applications, the greater its IP leadership is. In that topic, LG Chem and Samsung SDI hold the better IP leadership, and BASF is an emerging IP player. Then we evaluate the strength of the patent portfolio thanks to the strength by analyzing the number of citations of their patent portfolio. The more the number of forward citations from different patent applicants is high, the more the capacity to hamper the other firms to patent related invention is important. For example, for NMC material manufacturing, Samsung SDI and LG Chem have the larger patent portfolio and the highest IP leadership. However, they don't have a strong patent portfolio. Their patent family only have a medium impact on the patent landscape. It is worth to note that Samsung has a stronger IP blocking potential than LG. BASF has an interesting IP leadership with its numerous pending patent applications, and it's a player to follow. Some companies hold only few patent families, but they have a strong impact and IP blocking potential on the patent landscape, such as University of Chicago. It is worth to note that BASF has a partnership with them and all a license on their patent portfolio. They have also sued Umicore for patent infringement. This patent word is detailed in the report. Now, let's compare the IP position with the market position of main companies involved in NMC lithium-ion batteries. Chinese manufacturers lead the market but have a low IP position. Umicore combines a strong IP and market position. Newcomers such as LG Chem and 3M have also a strong IP position. And it is worth to note that Umicore recently acquired 3 key patent families from 3M. The deal includes license agreements with other companies, notably Johnson Matthey or LG Chem. BASF commercializes NMC materials developed by University of Chicago and holds license on their patent portfolio. What kind of materials are patented by leading companies? Several kinds of NMC materials are reported in the patents. Patents are mainly related to NMC mix with non-NMC materials and modify NMC materials. Companies have different technological strategies. For example, Samsung and LG almost field patents on almost all kinds of materials. On the contrary, GS USA is focused on non-modified NMC. With the report, an Excel file with all the patents selected for the analysis is provided. It provides all bibliographic details and have been classified by technological segments. To conclude, IP dynamics indicate that the technology maturity and market ramping up. Within next year, patent publication on NMC lithium-ion batteries should stabilize. Battery and car manufacturers should still file numerous patents related to NMC lithium-ion batteries. Patents are mainly filed in Japan, Korea, and USA. Japanese and Korean companies, LG Chem, Samsung, Sumitomo, GS USA, and so on, lead NMC lithium-ion battery patent landscape. According to our analysis, LG Chem, Sumitomo, Umicore, and 3M are among the companies commercializing NMC and having a strong IP position. Most of battery manufacturers have R&D departments on materials and thus file patents both on battery and material manufacturing. More and more Chinese companies file patents on NMC lithium-ion batteries, mainly in China. The number of patent publications in China should still increase within next year, thanks to the new Chinese regulation allowing the use of NMC in electrical vehicles. Recently, material manufacturers, LG, Hitachi, Sumitomo, Umicore, start to extend their patents in India. Europe starts to become a region of interest for battery manufacturers. In fact, several projects for the construction of battery gigafactories in Europe are in the pipeline. Thank you for the attention.
Well, thank you very much, Fleur, for your interesting presentation. We will now go to the Q&A session, and we'll try to ask as many questions as possible. Let's begin with some questions for Milan Rosina on the market Oxide. So first question, you have shown in your presentation a huge increase of the battery capacity demand in gigawatt. Do you expect any raw material availability issues?
Yeah, actually, it could be pretty surprising to see such huge forecast or huge capacity to be forecast according to our analysis. But we strongly believe that the many applications that drive that could be used or that could use lithium-ion batteries will really drive the demand for these batteries. We see also that new applications are coming that previously were not possible with lead-acid batteries and other type of batteries. So now are possible with batteries with higher energy density like lithium-ion. And we see also that the battery capacity per system, per car or per the domestic energy storage or per power tools is increasing. So if we're speaking in gigawatt hour numbers, so in energy capacity, we strongly believe that our forecast is realistic. So the question is related to raw material availability issues, which is actually very complex issue. We analyze it in details or in our latest report. We identify three main problematic materials or critical materials. The first one is surprisingly not lithium, but it is cobalt. Of course, it is lithium itself, and then it's graphite. Cobalt is because it's a pretty expensive material, low mining capacity, and also from geographical positioning of the resources for these materials is relatively limited. Lithium, this is something different. There are still many resources which are not used in the world, and there is still unused possibility of recycling of lithium. Actually, what is recycled today, it's not lithium in most of the case. It's cobalt, it's nickel, it's manganese, but it's not lithium itself. And with graphite, this is a completely different story. This is a largely available material, could be also synthesized, so not only from mining resources, but we need a really huge amount of graphite in lithium-ion batteries. Actually, lithium-ion batteries should be called graphite batteries. There is a lot of graphite inside. But we do not expect any strong raw material issues. Of course, you have seen in the media many articles about this, but it is important to understand that in some cases, at least, there is a kind of speculation about how to rise the price for raw material, how to better negotiate the price, how to avoid strong reduction of strong degrees of the battery cell cost, which is not very nice for some manufacturers that are dealing with high internal cost, and that could really come to the problems if the battery cell the selling price for the battery cells will continue to decrease. So there is a lot of different aspects that impact what is the price and what is the perception of the price and the availability of the raw materials. It's much more complex than just say, oh, we need a lot of batteries and we need a lot of materials and the raw material is not available today. And of course, what is needed is to increase the manufacturing capacities.
All right, thank you. Last question for you, Milan, is about your point of view about solid-state batteries in electric cars. What do you forecast?
Okay, solid-state batteries, this is a very different story. Just make it very shortly, lithium-ion batteries, what we use today, it's so-called bulk lithium-ion batteries. They are almost exclusively based on liquid electrolyte, which works pretty well, but it's flammable and could have some leakage issues. So there is a new alternative, relatively new alternative. It's a solid-state electrolyte, and based on solid-state electrolyte, we could build the full solid-state batteries. The solid-state batteries could be safer, could be more performant, and could have several other advantages compared to conventional lithium-ion batteries. The issues are that today solid-state batteries exist in a very small, let's say small size, very small energy capacity, and mainly used for some microelectronic applications, so in sensors and some computer stuff. So we are still relatively far away from the bulk batteries, solid-state bulk batteries for powering electric vehicles or even power tools and other devices. Nevertheless, there is a very strong interest in this field, and major players like Toyota, Hyundai, Bosch are working in this field and investing a lot of money into the development of the technology. So we could maybe see some acceleration of this technology, but according to our analysis, it's not for tomorrow. And for the bulk batteries and the commercial market, there are still many technology challenges that have to be solved first.
Thanks. Let's ask a few questions to Fleur. So first question for you, Fleur, there are a lot of patents related to NMC Lithium-ion batteries. So do you think new companies can enter the market, and what could be the risk for them in terms of IP?
Well, really good question. Companies can still try to enter NMC lithium-ion batteries market. However, it could be hard to gain market shares because there are huge and well-established companies such as LG, Samsung, SK, Innovation. Moreover, the patent landscape is quite dense, so companies who want to commercialize NMC lithium-ion batteries or NMC materials have to carefully study the patents to avoid patent infringement. They have to determine the freedom to operate of their technology in the countries where they want to produce or commercialize their products. They may have to sign license agreements and be careful of the cost of these licenses. One more thing, this patent landscape that I presented gathers all kinds of NMC materials. That's why the number of patented inventions is quite impressive. The technological segmentation in the report will give you an overview of the patented materials and batteries. A detailed study of the patented technologies will enable to determine exactly which material and material association, anode, cathode, and electrolytes are protected in which countries. It is worth to note that granted patents are mainly located in the US, Korea, Japan, and China. Thus, the potential patent infringement risk is higher in these countries. There is less granted patents in Europe, so thus it may have less risk of patent infringement in this area. This is quite a good news for all companies who want to build gigafactories in Europe, such as Northvolt or Yole. In the same way, there is very few patents filed in India. Thus, there is more opportunities for companies who want to produce their battery or materials in India and commercialize them in India. To conclude, if you want to enter NMC lithium-ion battery market, you have to carefully study the patents to be sure that your product or future products are not protected by other company patents in the country where you want to manufacture or commercialize them.
All right, thank you very much. So last question for you is concerning the litigation battle between Umicore and BASF, which was quite strong. Do you predict future patent litigation?
Well, predict the future is a classic dream. And in the case of patent litigation, it is quite hard to predict because a litigation is related to a product and patent. So to predict the patent litigation, you have to deeply know the composition of the products and where they are produced and commercialized, and then associate to this product granted patents in these operating countries. A patent in this case gives you an overview of the patented technologies and their geographical coverage. It's the first idea. In the report, we also analyze a potential infringement risk based on the propensity of companies to file patent litigation and the number of granted patents in their portfolio. But we don't really know all the products on the market, so we can't say exactly which future patent litigation it will have. To conclude, you have to study if you commercialize a product and you feel that you can be sued for patent infringement, you have to study the patents in detail to be sure that your products or future products are not protected by patents in the country where you manufacture or commercialize them.
Thank you very much, Fleur. So the webcast is now ending. Just let me remind you a few information. You will receive in the next 24 hours a link to the recorded session of this webcast. You also have the possibility to get the presentation, which is already downloadable in the appropriate section of this webcast, and you can find more information on our report and analysis from Yole, Nomade, and all of our other partners on imicronews.com's website. And thank you very much for joining us today. Again, thank you very much, Fleur and Milan. Do not hesitate to ask us any questions. You have the contact details in the presentation. Thank you all and have a nice day. Goodbye.